mellifera.
Start all over.
Not a chance. Tonight's talk is about basic bee biology, Apis mellifera. So here's a picture of one of our pretty ladies, and we'll talk about why she's a lady and not a male later on. So looking at this bee bug, she is a true insect having three main body parts. And if you look at the picture, big three. You got that head, you got that midsection called the thorax, and then that big old abdomen. Her head, she's got five eyes and they're crazy. You see the two main eyes, they're compound eyes. That's what sees color and light. And you'll find out that bees get a ton of their direction from the sun rays. They also have these little teeny three eyes that react to light intensity. They also have got a very long tongue, which is also known as a proboscis. And they use that proboscis to lap and suck fluids, typically water, nectar, or honey. They also have jaws, they're mandibles. They use those for chewing pollen. They use those for shaping beeswax after they make the wax. They also use that when they're collecting things from plants to make propolis, which we'll briefly touch on later. Their antenna have got all of these segments that are super amazing because if you think about a beehive, it's pitch black in there. So they're not using those big old compound eyes in the hive. So those antennas are able to communicate using touch, but they also literally smell with their antennas, their smell receptors. Like I just said, it helps them both inside and outside of the hive. Also, that antenna helps them differentiate between odors that are from the hive, from flowers, and then pheromones. And pheromones is just nothing more than a big old fancy word for odors that bees give off. And they give off many different pheromones, which will trigger different behaviors, which you will learn about at a later date. Okay, thorax, that midsection, that is the powerhouse of the bee. So that thorax, when you look at pictures of bees, all their legs, their three pair of legs, they have six legs, they are all connected to that thorax. Their wings are also connected to that thorax. And when you look at that picture, their wings are pretty cool. They have a forewing and a hind wing. And when they're out flying, those wings are hooked together with like little hooks, almost like Velcro, that it gives them great lift to fly and move around. When they are in the hive, they're able to unhook those little Velcro strips between their forewing and their hind wing, and they're able to fold those wings down close to their body so they're able to maneuver in that very, very hopefully crowded hive. Bees breathe, they don't have lungs and noses like we do. Along that thorax, they have, and down their abdomen, they have these little holes that are called spiracles, and that's what allows a bee to breathe. The abdomen, kind of like me, it's the longest part of the bee. When you look at your bees really close, they have like little armored plates, and that hard exoskeleton helps to protect that bee. It also helps to keep that bee from drying out. At the very end of that abdomen is where the stinger is located. On the bottom sides of the abdomen is where they have these glands that actually secrete the wax. They actually make these little flakes of wax at certain times in their lives with certain bees that are used to build their comb with. And then they also have their scent glands. Oops. Oops. Oh, come on, Susan. Hold on one sec. I'm having technical difficulties. It's moving right along. Phyllis, I'm stuck. I don't know what's going on. Can you hear me, Phyllis?
Uh,
Or oh wait, hold on. What? I am
did
literally.
you can you
Oh,
use
there
your
we go. I
mouse?
don't know. Here we.
Okay.
Let me go back.
Mine did the same thing last
Okay,
time.
perfect. All right. So we've got bees. And last week, Phyllis told us we had queen bees, we had worker bees, we had drones. Well, those three different types of bees they have differences in their abdomen. Worker bees are the only ones that have those wax secreting glands. So when your bees are building comb in your hive, it's only your little female worker bees that can do that. And my little worker bees also have scent glands. The queen has these ovaries for egg production, and she's got this storage sac. So when she goes out and gets mated, all of the semen from those drones that she is going to use in her entire lifetime of laying eggs, she picks up in one usually mating run. And it's really cool. I had the chance to dissect out one of these little sacks at a conference I was at this year, and it looks like a little miniature pearl, and it's just full. That queen also has glands that produce tons of these pheromones that you'll learn about later. She has a stinger, but it's not barbed like the worker bees, so she could sting over and over again. But that queen, she has no wax glands. That queen cannot draw out any wax. My guys, he's got his male reproductive organs. Drones cannot make wax because they don't have wax glands. They don't have a stinger. Their stinger is modified into their quote unquote male parts, unless there's some kind of biological freak that have both male and female parts. All right. The bees also have a honey stomach, a sac, or a crop, as you can refer to it. So your esophagus, your food tube, like in humans, for the bees, it begins at the back of their mouth. It continues all the way through their thorax, and then it ends in the anterior end of the abdomen, where it expands and forms the honey crop. So when my worker bees are out collecting nectar or water, this honey crop can expand and carry a massive amount of weight of this liquid they're carrying. Bees also carry this bacteria, lactobacillus, which is really good for them inside of their stomachs. And when my foraging bees come back from gathering nectar, they transfer that nectar or that water, particularly the nectar, they'll transfer it to another bee right inside of the hive. And when they transfer it into that bee's mouth for that other bee to take it into the hive to store it, this bacteria is added to it. So when bees are collecting nectar, there are many different chemical processes that occur, which is really cool, that the bees add to the nectar to eventually convert it into honey. It's also important when they're bringing in pollen, because when they're offloading that pollen and the worker bees that are inside the hive take that pollen, again, they are adding this bacteria to it that helps that pollen turn into something called bee bread. And also those bacteria they use also help protect bees against pathogens, things that are bad for them. All right. Phyllis is going to do it again. Ooh. So inside the colony, bees are super cool. They're what we call a super organism. A queen can't live by herself. A worker can't live by herself. A drone cannot live by herself. They have to work together as one giant super organism. And how this works, them acting together, they have cooperative care of the young, and they have overlapping generations. So inside the colony, whether it's in the wild, like my bee tree at the top of my driveway, or it's in a hive that I'm keeping in my yard, my honeybee nest is made of parallel combs filled with hexagonally shaped cells. This comb made of beeswax is produced by the bee's own body, and this beeswax is used as a pantry. They store their food in it, and it's also used as a cradle for the young bees, which we call the brood. So when you look at the picture at the right, there's always a pattern, and this is just a small screenshot in a beautiful, perfect frame that you would see in a picture. It kind of looks like a rainbow from start to finish. And at the bottom right of this picture, you see these brown, darker cappings. That is brood that has been capped over. You could see the white larva you're looking at there, and that's going to be capped, and then it will pupate and turn into an adult bee. You could see open brood where she has room to lay. You could see some shiny in there. You could see the pretty color pollen that's come from different pollen sources, because depending on where they're getting their pollen from, the pollens are different colors. And then at the very top of the picture, that is capped honey. And that honey acts as an excellent insulator over my brood nest. And as you can see, they have a nice food source right there. All right, so we have a division of labor known as the caste system. You have your drones, which are your males. You have your sterile females, which are workers. My worker bees, my girl bees are sterile because they did not go out and get mated. And then I have fertile females, which are my queens, which have the ability, because she has the ability to store that semen, she is able to lay both male and females. So these three types of individuals in a colony cannot change much, and each will not survive without rest of them. So back in your high school biology days, you learned about complete metamorphosis. So complete metamorphosis is a fancy way of bees going through 4 complete stages. They start as an egg, then they turn into a larva, and then they turn into a pupa, and then they turn into an adult. When you start looking at your bees this spring, when it warms up a little bit, and you hold that frame up, once you see the eggs and you learn how to look for them, they're easy to see. But sometimes it's like looking at a picture, you don't see it, then all of a sudden it's right in your face. And eggs for all of my bees, my drones, my queens, my workers, they are only last for 3 days. When that queen lays that egg, looks like a little microscopic grain of rice, and it's standing straight up on end. Day 2, bends over a little bit. Day 3, it lays down. And then it becomes a larva, that it looks like a little slug. And my worker bees work very hard to fill that larva. And as that larva grows, and it will be 5.5 days, 6 days, however many days, once that larva is ready to turn into a pupa, my worker bees come and they cap that cell with wax. So that larva is in there. Now, what you don't see is when you start with your new hives, you have all this really pretty white drawn out comb. And over a couple seasons, your comb, it starts looking really dark. You're like, why does it get so dirty, dark looking on the inside? Well, these larvae, once they cap those cells with wax, they actually spin a cocoon around themselves within that capped cell. So you get these little cocoon castings that stay within that wax. Once they're capped, now they're going to begin to pupate. So they'll start off looking as a slug, and then through this stage, their body will develop and start looking more and more like a bee until, lo and behold, one day you see a little hole in your cap cell, and out climbs this cute little fuzzy baby adult bee, and literally it chews itself out of the cell. So if you look at the top right of your screen, you can see that egg in that first picture, and that egg right there, is that 1 day, 2 day, or 3 days? That's a 3-day-old egg, because guess what it's done? It has laid down. And then it turns into your little larva, and then they cap it and it pupates, and then that adult climbs out. If you look at the chart, every one of the casts, the queen, the worker, the drone, they all take 3 days as an egg. As a larva, the days start to differentiate, and then the days they're actually pupating, it gets even longer. So you could see that my queen only takes 15.5 days from the day she was laid until she hatches out. My worker bees, from the day that they're laid until they hatch out, is 21 days. My drones, those suckers, they're big. They take 24 days. And when you start learning more and more about your bees, you're going to find out that your mites really like to climb in and reproduce in those drone cells, because they have more time to be in there and they have more room to work. And there's all this crazy stuff called bee math that if we went over a bunch of it right now, it would make your head spin. But these days, this is a little chart that you want to stick somewhere, that when you get into year 2, year 3, year 4, you're going to start understanding when you're looking in your hive, understanding these developmental days can really help you. Bottom right are my 3 bees. So my worker bee, she's small, and there's a ton of them. My queen has that long abdomen. Her thorax, not always, but typically seems bigger, darker, shinier. And my drones, they look like a bubba. And not only do they look like a bubba, but when you look at them close up, their eyeballs literally touch together in the backs of their heads. Their eyeballs are ginormous. All right, my queen, she's the reproductive center of the colony. She's the only female in that hive that can lay fertilized eggs. She's the longest living individual, largest in size, with that long tapering body. And a week after she hatches, so when you have a new queen being hatched out, takes her about, I don't know, I may not be exactly correct, but like 4 to 6 days. So her body hardens off and that exoskeleton hardens up. And then she takes out and goes on a mating flight and finds this crazy thing called a drone congregational area, because typical guys, they leave the hive, they make this big party of nothing but drones, 2, 3 miles away from your hive, and she'll fly out and mate with 17 to 20, they're saying possibly even more drones. And she will not mate with drones from her own hive, which is interesting. And then she comes back to your hive if she doesn't get eaten by a bird, or if she doesn't get eaten by Phyllis's favorite insect besides bees, which are dragonflies. And then she could come back and start laying eggs. Once she begins laying eggs, the only reason she's going to leave that colony is if they're going to swarm at a later date, which you will learn more about later. My worker bees, these are our rock stars. A fully formed female whose ovaries stay small and undeveloped due to the presence of the queen's pheromone. That queen gives off this pheromone that lets the other bees know she is in the hive, and it keeps them all under control. You get too many bees of the hive and they don't get the presence of that pheromone. You'll learn more about this later. That is one of the signals that those bees are going to swarm. And swarming is just the hive's natural way of reproducing. A worker bee's responsibilities include honey production, pollen collection, propolis collection, temperature regulation, brood rearing, wax and royal jelly production, and defense. Once you get your basic understanding of bees under control, you're going to understand they work very hard. They are very straightforward minded. They want that hive, that brood nest at a very specific temperature. They want it at a very specific humidity. They want very specific types of food that are going to different bees. It's fascinating, but right now you just want to know your different bees. They're also the smallest individuals in that colony with the very shortest lifespan. They have specialized structures. They have a functional barbed sting. They have modified legs for pollen collection. They've got a scent gland. And worker bees just, they don't come out doing all the jobs. It's very defined progress on what they do. They start from house bees to becoming foragers, and then we'll talk later on about winter bees. Winter bees are bees, instead of lasting for 24, 25 days, they last for 4+ months. They're the ones that carry your hive through the winter. My queen, I did that already. Sorry. Okay, so here's my worker bee responsibilities. When that little cute, fuzzy new bee chews its way out of its cell, immediately it will start cleaning cells and warming brood, warming cap brood, warming other developing bees around it. Days 3 through 5, they start feeding the larva. They feed the older larva, and at this point, they can feed the queen. Days 6 through 11, they're still feeding the larva, providing a very high protein meal, and their wax glands begin to thicken. Day 12 through 17 of their life, their wax glands are at peak production. So they are the ones that are cranking out the wax production in your hive. They transport food, they regulate temperature, and they circulate hive air. Days 18 through 21, they finally graduate. They get to guard the hive entrance. days 22 through 45, those are the bees that you see leaving your hive. They're the bees. They finally get to go out and forage for nectar, pollen, and propolis. And propolis, typically, propolis is a catch-all word. Bees go out and they gather resin from plants, other materials. They bring it back to the hive, and we'll talk a little bit later on how they use that. All right, drone bees, the males. He is haploid. He is a virgin birth. He only has half the chromosomes as a female does. He has no father. The drone dies in the mating process because his I don't remember the correct name for it, male portion is pulled from his body. And remember, for a drone, his phallus is a modified stinger. And when a bee stings, that, except for the queen, that stinger is barbed, it pulls out. Well, the drone, when he mates with that queen, it is pulled out. You can literally, Phyllis has shown us in her yard before, you could see a queen that's come back mated, and she could still have part of that male hanging out from her abdomen. And I talked briefly before, the drones will go to these congregating areas, which are a really cool research subject right now, for queens to find and to mate, get their genetic diversity. Okay, honeybee nutrition. What do they need to eat? They bring four things into their hives for the most part. They bring in nectar. Nectar serves as their carbohydrates. They bring in pollen. That serves as their protein source. When you see pollen coming into your hive, that tells you that they're making brood. That queen will not be laying unless she has access to protein, which comes in as pollen. They bring in water. They need to bring water. They use it to cool the hive. They also use it to dilute honey if they need to feed honey back to their own bees. And then propolis. Propolis is made of resins, waxes, and fatty acids, essential oils, and pollen, all in different amounts. And if you are not familiar with propolis yet, when you see people working bees and their gloves are all dark and they got dark lines along across their belly from lifting hives, the stuff is like glue. Bees use it to seal gaps. They can reduce their own hive entrances, but propolis is amazing because it is an antibacterial, it is an antifungal. So it's actually nature's way of disinfecting the hive and keeping the bees healthy. Also, they use it to mummify intruders. If you find you have a dead mouse in your hive and the bees have gotten to it, they will propolis it. They will coat it in this propolis. It's actually pretty cool. How do bees communicate? They do it by sight. So obviously that is going to be when they are out of the hive. They also use different dances to communicate. There's waggle dances to show food sources, to show new homes. They're calling out for a grooming session. They use sound. The honeycomb actually acts as a sounding board and transmission of sound. The queens, they pipe. They make this little piping noise. You can hear it. And sometimes when a new queen hatches out, she will pipe, and she's waiting for any other new queens to answer her so she could hurry up and go over and kill them. It's a nice little murder mystery. Unfortunately, if you have a colony that goes queenless, you touch that hive and they sound like they are roaring. So bees can make a lot of noise, and if you listen to your hive, it can give you many clues as to what is possibly going on inside. They also communicate with taste. They food share, and it's thought to transmit nutrients and information back and forth between adults, as well as across different developmental stages of the bees. So that's kind of, again, how do they communicate? They use scent. They use a whole class of chemicals called pheromones, which are in all caste. The queen, she produces a substance that controls the development of ovaries in the worker bee. We'll talk about hives that go queenless. You don't need to worry about that yet. They have alarm pheromones. So when a bee stings you, it's releasing a pheromone that lets the other bees go on alert saying, hey, I got problems here. Because once that bee stings or you smash them in your hive, it's going to alert the other bees and say, there's an intruder here. Bees actually leave scent from their footprints. So bees can actually, in the pitch black, track where other bees have walked throughout the hive because they're leaving a scent. That's the reason we use cool smoke from a smoker. It helps to mask that alarm pheromone, reducing defensive recruitment. So you don't want to, when you're going into your hive, you can use just a couple puffs of smoke, kind of settle them down a little bit, move very slowly. You don't want to smoke them, till you make them ill. Patterns of behavior: colonies react to smoke, bees move away from the source. Some literature suggests that they start to engorge themselves with honey, making them less likely to sting. Same thing with me. You get a bee, she fills her belly full of honey. It's harder for her to curl around to put that stinger out. But from experience, they still sting you. Something we have to watch for right now, they regulate their temperature by clustering for warmth. Your bee started laying eggs in January. She's not laying a lot, but those bees have to stay, that brood, at 90 degrees at a certain percent humidity. So these bees cluster together. Typically below 57 is what the literature says. Today it was 48 degrees. I had bees out here getting water out of my pond. Bees cool by collecting water and fanning air currents through the colony. Many new beekeepers will panic late July, August, where it's 90 degrees outside. You look at your hive and it's covered in bees. And you're like, oh my gosh, they're swarming, they're taking off. But many times it's just really hot in that hive. So they go hang out on the front porch. They wait till things cool down, and they typically will come back in over the nighttime. Swarming is just the way bees reproduce. It's when one colony becomes two, and we will talk a whole lot more about that later. I like this quote: the more a beekeeper understands why a bee does what it does, the better beekeeper he or she will be. I can remember, but I still do it now. I go out in the spring, and right now I'm down to 5 hives, and I see bees going in and out of the hive, and I'm so tickled. I'm so pleased. Oh, my hive made it. And then I finally, it gets warm enough, I go in, and there's no bees in my hive. So I thought I had a great hive of bees, but it was just other bees going in and taking resources from an abandoned hive. So you want to make sure your bees are really living in your hive. All you have to do is stand and watch and see if they're bringing pollen in. Bees aren't going to bring pollen into a hive that they don't live in. Oh. And that is a picture of one of my hives a couple years ago. They weren't swarming. It was 94 degrees outside. It was freaking humid. It was miserable. And the sun blasted on them in the late afternoon, evening. And then by the time I came up in the morning, they walked back in. But I will say I probably just pulled honey supers also. So you're jamming a whole lot of bees back down into 2 deep boxes. And oh, snap. Sorry. And that's it. The end.
Very good, Sue. Thank you.
Quit recording me, please.
Go ahead.
Very
Right.
good.
Very nice, Sue.
Yeah, thank you.
Very.
Yay!
All right.
Another success.
Questions? Did I put you to sleep?
Don't be
No.
shy, guys. Think about what she just told you. Think about your questions.
You
What
were
was
very
it?
thorough, so there was a lot of information given.
There you go.
That's why, and it's the same thing. Shanda King has given a talk. It's where I first met Phyllis recently after meeting Deb. And I saw that this woman was giving a talk on major and minor nectar and pollen flows in West Virginia. And I asked Phyllis's permission to attend their meeting. Little did she know what she was getting into when she invited me. But I have gone and I have heard Shanda give that talk now 5 different times. And I have the same handout from every time. And you'll go back and keep bees 3 or 4 years, and then you'll come back and listen to somebody doing a beginner bees again. And you're going to go, oh, that's why they do that. Because like Michelle was saying, she had that lady out at her house and thought she overloaded her with information because there's so many pieces. Like when you look at bee biology, You could buy volumes of books that are 300 pages long, but you have to start with the basics. You have to get in and see your bees. You have to, and Kathy, is Kathy doing inspecting hives? Like you're going
Yeah.
to learn, you're going to go into your hives. You just don't go in willy-nilly. You're going to go in with questions and you're going to take notes. And I was really, 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 took me a decade before I realized it's important to write things down because I thought I knew it. And then I would come back in the house and not remember anything. Questions, somebody.
You have a question in the chat.
Oh, snap.
They
Okay.
want to know what bee bread is.
Oh, bee bread is cool. So your bees bring in pollen. So you see little yellow or green or off-white balls of pollen, and the bees are covered with hair, and then they land on a flower. And the hair on bees is actually electrostatic. So you know how you pick up stuff on you when you got static electricity. It works the same way with pollen. So the bees get coated with pollen and then they clean themselves with their legs, and on their back legs they have these special little, I'm not even going to say the word, this little place that they can pack with their other legs and make these little balls of pollen, and then they take that back to the hive. So when they take it back to the hive, they come into the entrance, and then another worker bee meets them, and that worker bee then removes that pollen helps remove that pollen with that bee. Now that worker bee can remove the pollen itself, and it's going to put it into a cell. And if you ever take one of your hives and take a cell packed with pollen, and if you literally cut it open, you could see it's pressed in layers. But as they're pressing that pollen in, they're adding enzymes from their mouth, and that enzyme acts as a way to convert that pollen chemically into something called bee bread. Then that bee bread literally ferments a little bit in that cell, and then they cap it with a thin layer of honey. And then the other worker bees will come back and they use that bee bread, that's the protein source, to feed the young developing bees. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Well said.
So it's the intermediary, it's the finished product of pollen plus enzymes yields fermentation, yields bee bread. And then that's the magic source of the food that the larvae get fed.
It's so potent that humans are starting to mix it and put it on the shelf and eat it once a day or whenever they get sick.
A friend
It's
of
some good
mine used some,
stuff,
it's
but man,
delicious.
is it nasty.
Oh, I had
Yeah,
some,
it
I
is.
thought it was delicious.
Ugh, not mine. Maybe it was the pollen I made it with. It was
Yeah,
rough.
it was, I was surprised. It was crunchy.
Mm. Mine dissolved.
Well, you'll dry it when you collect it in that pollen trap. It has to, they typically dry it before they package it. Otherwise, it will mold in package. So it's typically dried out before they package it to sell it. Any other questions? Or somebody correct me on something I said wrong. When you read these facts, like drones, how many does a queen mate with? Research changes every year with the idea of how many. So sometimes numbers I say may be a bit off.
Now, how
But-
long does it take a queen to mature enough to fly? Is it,
5 to 7 days is what I think
I'm not sure.
she has to harden.
Yeah.
Else, what do you
She
think?
she hatches and then she can be bred within 48 hours. Debbie says I'm wrong.
I know that after so many days, it's not good anymore. I think that's what, 10 or 12 days
It's a long, because
At
those
the
guys,
most, yeah.
at the most, where
but I think it's a minimum. And this one, I'm pretty sure it's a minimum of at least 4 days, because those scales, her exoskeleton has to harden so that she is a fully, and her thorax, all those scales have hardened. So she has enough muscle power in that thorax to get on those wings. Because when she goes to mate, she could be flying 2 to 3 miles one direction. And then she
Right.
has to get back. So she's got to get out. Her little retinue will come around and feed her and stuff her, and she'll toughen up a little bit, and then she'll take off. But I will do my research in one of my books, Phyllis, and see what they say. Whoever the hell
I'm
they
asking
are.
Google. I'm asking Google.
I
He
am
never
too.
lies.
Always double check
Google
AI.
never lies.
now it's AI now when you Google it too.
Just like my ex-husband never lies.
We all have those.
Question.
Just to let you guys know, we have a youth on here, Hadley, and I would like to welcome you. She's my little 9-year-old 4-H'er.
Hi,
So
Hadley.
I guess she's shy.
No, she said hi in the
In
chat
the
box.
chat. Yeah.
Oh,
There,
gotcha.
she's
You
there.
you can talk, Hadley. We're
I
just
wouldn't, Hadley.
we're
These
all
ladies
your
are funny.
grandmothers and aunts, so look at it like that.
There was somebody that was going to ask a question.
Well,
Caitlin,
I was
was it you?
I was going to
told-
ask something
told-
about oh, I'm sorry. Did I cut you off?
Uh,
Go ahead.
Take a number.
I have lost my voice, so sorry if I sound ridiculous. I might have missed it because I got here late, but what is royal jelly made of? And how does royal jelly happen?
Deb, is it the Vita Gelin? Royal jelly is a concoction. Now you're going to make me. This is a good question because
Hard.
I should be able to answer this right out of my mouth. It is extremely important. Deb Main, you know the answer to that.
It is a mixture of stuff they got out of the air. It's the pollen, and it's a lot of a secretion out of the queen. I mean, out of the worker. Sorry, that they feed the queen.
This is right. It's a creamy white secretion produced by worker bees, and they have these things called pharyngeal glands.
Yeah.
So
On top
royal
of their
jelly,
head.
50 to 60% water, 18% proteins, 15% carbohydrates, and 3 to 8% lipids, including 10 HDA. But it's white. And what's really interesting is I just got done taking a class through University of Montana through their Master Beekeeper program. And I'll do it when I do the intermediate biology, but they refer to a white, cream, and yellow food and who it's fed to and in what amounts. So that royal jelly is the real white, creamy stuff. And that it dictates the difference between the queen, the worker, and the drone, because they all come, not the drone, but a queen bee. The queen could lay an egg and it could be a worker bee or it can become a queen. And it's strictly dependent upon the diet they feed her, which includes the amount of royal jelly. Everybody gets royal jelly, but the queen, and Deb, correct me if I'm wrong, but the queen gets a much larger amount of it, right?
Longer.
And longer.
And
Yes.
a lot longer, yeah.
More
That's what
days.
Yeah.
So
Yes.
when you get looking in and you can look into those queen cells and turn them up, queen cups and queen cells, you can tell that if it's going to be viable queen for the amount of royal jelly they have in there that she's swimming in.
That's a lot. It's a lot more
Mhm.
than what you would see in a worker cell. And
Yeah.
Google says that I was wrong. And I admit I was wrong. And it says from 4 to 6 days.
Okay,
Did
cool.
not know that. Like I said, I'm not
the-
book smart. I
queen
am
does-
on hands in the hive, knowledgeable. I
That's-
see a queen, then I go back in 10 days to see if she's mated. That's how I do it.
And that's
So-
why Phyllis was keeping bees since 1942. Some of them like 10 or 15
I feel
years.
like that sometimes.
And we come here and do these beginner classes and we learn something new every single time.
Oh,
And
absolutely.
And that's
Absolutely.
why we're trying to keep beginner classes simplistic, because you could jump off a board here and it gets complicated real quick. And you need a couple of years of tending bees under your belt just to figure out who the queen is. Like, there are a bunch of you like me. It took me forever. I couldn't find a daggum queen and freaking 40,000 bees. But if I hold up a frame and I have it to the sun and I see eggs, I know there was a queen in there in the last 3 days. So I don't
Right.
have to pull my hive apart
And it-
anymore. I stick it
And
back
if
in.
the egg is standing straight up, then she was in there that given day.
Yeah.
So that's
That's
nice to know as well.
So she's got to do close.
There's a
Blonde-haired
podcast.
young lady that wanted a question that we
Well, while you're
I
looking, oh yeah,
I was
Michelle.
going to ask because I thought there was something about the colors of the queen bee, like there was colors on the queen bee or something like that.
Oh,
Like,
a marked queen bee.
yeah.
That's man-made. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Or, but you can have
Yeah.
queens that are different. Some of us have very dark queens. Some of us have beautiful caramel colored queens. It just depends on the genetics of
Is that
that
what
bee.
is that what you're talking about, or the color on their head, like I showed you last week?
Correct.
No, I thought they were like white and yellow and blue, but
Yeah.
you like you mark them.
We
Yes.
do that. Mhm.
Yeah,
Oh,
we
okay,
pick them
okay,
up and use a like a paint pen, and we
Here.
mark them according, well,
Here.
normal,
Right
it's
here.
according to the year. Yeah, like that. This year is white, correct?
Yes.
Correct.
Yes. Last year's was blue.
Yeah.
So
Hold up that picture again, whoever had that.
Yeah.
I have it.
Kathy.
I'm looking for
Can
it.
you hold that up? So this
I'm
year,
getting it.
there you go. So it's, oh, Kathy's got it. It is, you remember if you get your year started right, to remember the order of your colors, it's will you raise good bees? White,
And
red,
I say
there you
something
go.
different. I say, will you remember green and blue? That's the way I
No,
remember.
not me. Will you raise good bees?
That works too. That works
Yeah.
too.
All right. More
That's
questions.
awesome. Yeah.
You know, my little
Yeah. But what I was saying is that I found a podcast today. This woman from North Carolina, really like her. I sent it to Debbie and Sue, and it's to know the biology of a bee. And it's not like the body parts. It's when you look in your hive, this is the biology, the reason of what's happening in your hive. And I will post that. And even though you don't understand what she may be talking about, it's really good knowledge to have in your backpack. And just listen to it and find her channel. She's wonderful. She's a non-treatment beekeeper, and she's probably
Oh,
about the only non-treatment beekeeper that I have liked. Um,
Very
we
good with her flyaway splits so that you can use your oxalic acid. And again, I'm jumping ahead of beginner and I apologize, but she was really, I really, really liked the way she explained thing. And then for those of us that are still learning, how do we know when our bees are going to swarm, which you talked about backfilling, you go and look at your brood nest, but I'm going to quit there because people have not heard it. So they have no clue to what I'm talking about. It's a waste of time, but
well,
she
but if
really
you talk
good.
about it and it comes up on there, then they'll go, "Oh yeah, that's what Sue was talking about," and it kind of helped me too because I knew that like if your bees are starting to fill in the brood nest with
Nectar.
nectar, she said, well, that's a sign of swarming. But to me, I always say, well, that's the sign of crowding, which what does crowding lead to? Swarming.
swarming.
So,
What's
yeah,
her
so
name?
It's five something farm, five.
Five's the number or five spelled out?
Five spelled out.
I'll post it. I'll post it and then I'll post it here in a little bit.
It was really easy to understand. It was
She's
really good.
she's like that with all her with all her. I found her about a month ago, and I have listened to almost everything. I'm listening to a guy that she has on from Michigan right now, that started a queen thing, and he's really interesting. His they do sustainable beekeeping where they wanted people that were non treated and treated to come together and talk nicely. I was on a non-treated Facebook page a few years ago and was talking about a brood break, and I got yelled at. So, and I said, well, this obviously is not the place for me because I was asking. It was like, well, if you do a brood break, is that treated or non-treated? And they screamed at me, and so it must have been a guy, but anyway. But it's I said, okay, well, thanks a lot for being so nice to me and, appreciate you educating me and then I left the group. But
Hey, Felicia is looking where she could buy nukes. She's in Boone, but she's willing to travel.
well, I've got a guy in Ona, close to Hurricane, Bill Lane. He has really good stock. Um, so Boone, that's in Charleston area, Boone County. Yes, Logan, Boone.
And
So
Hadley's on the list to get hers from Mountain State Honey and Parsons. And Felicia said yes to your answer, Phyllis.
And you know, Mountain State is under new ownership.
yes, but they still, you need to find, we talked about this last week, and you need to find out if they still do pollination because
I
listen to that that podcast, and she is also against people that pollinate because they're talking about um the one with Jamie Lee on there, the sustainable beekeeping, and they are kind of blaming the pollinators for because they just overload, bee hives out there, and then, they get this disease and they're thinking that they're bringing them back and they're giving them to us through their packages.
And not
So,
only that, those bees that are pollinating almonds and berries, yes, that's excellent business for them. But if you're looking to start an apiary in your backyard, you want healthy bees. And healthy bees, we are very lucky in the state of West Virginia. We are very lucky in southwestern PA where I live. Our bees have a very diversified diet. They need a wide range of amino acids and proteins. Bees that are used to pollinate almonds are on like a McDonald's junk food diet. So it does not produce healthy bees. And those that don't understand how they make packages is when they're done with these pollinating bees, they literally will shake 3 pounds of bees in a box and then they will put in a mated caged queen and then sell it to you. Versus if you purchase a nucleus, you are getting a hive that has an accepted queen. They're already laying. Particularly if you get it locally, those bees have been fed well and started well from the very beginning. That makes sense?
it makes perfect sense. Yes. And Felicia, I will tell you Bill's phone number, and you can just tell him that
That's
I
chief of
gave you.
email media for the Mananona. Good.
So if you're ready, and anybody else that's in that area, it's 304-963-1928. And don't dally because he's only going to sell like 15 nukes. And I've sent him, I know at least 3, 4 people. So, but if you don't find someone, if I'll write him later and make sure, but I can find you somebody else. I would say Sarah would, but she does Russians, and I wouldn't I don't know if Sarah's on here yet or not, but yeah,
Russians.
you're welcome.
Did you
Go ahead, Rebecca.
Sorry, did you say 1928?
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, 1928.
Okay.
Yeah, 963-1928. Yeah, and his name is Bill Lane. Big old guy, like a
I
teddy bear.
just heard back from Kelly, who's doing Mountain State now, and they are doing pollination.
Yeah,
But
okay.
they use
There you
all
go.
their bees for pollination. Like we have a local guy, Badillion. They're the ones that just somebody lit their whole one of their outyards on fire. Half of their bees stay home for honey production, and half of their bees go out for pollination. So, like for him, I know they make nukes out of their honey producers. So, sometimes they run both sides of the fence with their bees.
Well, there again, know your beekeeper. Go and help, see if you can help them. Because if they bring those pollinators back and they interswipe frames, then they're still interswiping chemicals. So if my pollinators are over here and I take these boxes off and I put them in the shed, and now my honey producers over here need frames, and I'm going to put, I would do that because I intermix everything. And that's why people say that, and like backyard people, well, I have a hive tool for, like Fred Dunn, I have a hive tool for every hive that I have. And it was like, Okay, well, that would be a big investment. So, you know, if one's sick, then all of mine are going to get sick. And thank God I haven't ever had that. But yeah. So, but just know the people you're going to buy them from, for sure. And I don't know, they changed this beach hat again. Upgrade. Okay. No.
Any other
All right.
questions?
Do what?
I said, is there any other questions?
I sent one in the chat.
Oh, sorry.
This
Oh.
isn't about this today, but just preparing for the in-person. Do you have like a beginner budget friendly glove recommendation?
Oh,
We
well,
all like this.
the best gloves that I've ever had, I put them on I had them in my talk last week, and they are technical gloves, and I don't have any on me, but you can find them on Facebook, and
That's the
that's
name.
what you're
Apis
looking for.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's their emblem, Apis Tactical, and
Best
they are
gloves.
the best gloves, and it tells you how to measure your hand. I think Michelle, didn't you measure your hand? Luckily,
Yeah.
I just bought. I think I bought a small because my hands are small, and they fit me. They fit me like a glove.
Yeah, mine fit good too.
Now, if you can
Patty,
stand sweaty hands, you can use the good old Playtex dishwashing gloves. They will not sting you through those. You could put on a double layer of vinyl surgical
Nitrile.
gloves, latex gloves.
But your
but
hands will sweat, and when you take them
yes.
off, you can just turn them upside down, and the water will run out of them. But they are good. That's how I started. I went from the goat gloves that were always folded over my fingers, and I could never get the frames right, to the dishwashing gloves. And then my husband was gloveless, and he said, just get rid of those things. So I taught myself how to not use gloves. Now, like I said before, I always have my gloves, in my belt, because there's some hives that don't want to be messed with. So, and then, so I put them on, and it's like, okay. Because I mean, I can
Somebody
keep them
like
off of
me,
me, but I'm not gonna sit there and smoke the crap out of them. And that's
no.
what
Or
you
you
would
could
have
be
to do.
someone like me. When I get stung, I get a localized severe reaction, and
Yeah,
I'll get
you're
stung on my
allergic to
thumb.
them. Yeah.
I'm a weird one, but I still use them. I have a Neffy thing. I've never had to use it, like a EpiPen, but now they have the new spray for your nose, which is so cool. But it's
Is that called Narcan?
no,
what is
Narcan
it?
is for the drug overdose.
Narcan. Yeah, Sue I
I
carry
need
around
Narcan,
Narcan
yeah.
when I'm around Sue.
Happy.
Neffy.
Patty asked in the chat, how do bees get mites?
Oh, good question. Uh, they just come. They come off of birds. They come off of other animals.
They were not in
And
this country
flowers.
till what year did they get here?
87.
87. I was gonna say 86 or 87.
Don't they
And
get them from other bees as well?
absolutely.
oh, sure.
They can jump
Yeah.
from bees. They can jump out of the hive. They can jump
Drifting.
off of flowers. They can jump off of birds.
I was listening, Michelle.
Good job.
Yay.
You're welcome.
Any more questions? More questions?
Uh,
Is there anything I could have done different?
No, I thought that was great. It was
No, it was good for a basic. We will
it
do
was
an
basic and
intermediate.
it was complete.
Um,
Easy
Dude,
to
after
follow along.
I do that Montana class I just finished, holy guacamole, do I have notes galore on that. That was a cool class. Very
Good.
cool class.
Good.
All right.
Bridget,
I'm not staying for B chat.
of course you're
I'm
not.
I'm going to bed.
I'm going to bed, huh?
Well, this is, I'll send it to you, but that's what I was going to talk about, was getting your seconds ready for when they move up or you flip them up. So
What the heck
that
are
was great,
seconds?
Felicia said. So yeah. but that's
Right.
what we're talking about in Bee Chat. And I
All
hope
right,
Amy
ladies,
shows
thank
up.
you.
But
Thank
next
you.
week,
Thank you,
Susan.
Susan.
thanks,
you.
Sue.
You
Bye.
did a
Next
great
week
job,
is
Sue.
See you Sunday.
Yes, with
disease.
bells on.
Next week it's disease. So you definitely want to show up. Debbie's doing that one.
Debbie does disease. I'm out of here.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
where are you
Thanks,
gonna
Sue.
put the video information on? You're gonna put that on your Facebook page or
Yeah,
where-
women's
where can-
page. Yeah. And then, feel free to find others that, back to listen to them all because she is really good. And like I said, she's the only person that and she's not radical about non-treatment. She's like, you do your bees, I do my bees. So
And
so yeah,
I like
what was
that.
her
I think
full
that's why
name?
I like her. Yeah.
What was her
But,
name?
I don't know. I can't remember. Five Apple is her station, but I don't
Jamie
remember her
Lee.
name. Yeah, I think it's Lee something. But
Jamie Lee.
no, Jamie Lee is a guy from Michigan.
Oh.
But anyway, so okay, Slash, we're in bee chat now. So what's going on with your bees? And then I've got a few things to say. There's Angie.
I
I did my wasp traps today.
Did you? Good. I'm-
Yeah.
I started peeling bananas, so because I don't eat them anymore. So it's like, well, I had to sacrifice and eat a banana so I could have its peel.
Keep on looking at the
Angie.
weather and deciding what I can split.
Yeah. So
Saw
if you
dandelions
guys
in
don't-
Morgantown.
Huh?
I saw dandelions in Morgantown.
Did you?
well,
There's no
I took a
dandelions here
dandelion
yet.
picture at my bees the other day. Remember? I put it on.
Well, that video that we watched a couple weeks ago, one of my hives had it was congested in the brood area, but I had empty frames on the outside, so I moved the honey over and I put the empty frames on either side of my brood.
Okay, Kathy, how come you didn't put them right in the middle of the brood?
Well, I don't know.
Tell 'em.
I thought I should put them well, it's right with the brood, but I didn't put it right in the center of it.
I know. I said, why didn't you? Tell them why you didn't take that outside
I
frame
don't
that was.
want to break up. I don't want to break up that brood area. I'm trying to.
Correct.
I'm watching weather and everything as it is.
No, right.
Right, you don't have
has
enough
to
bees
do.
at this time to cover them all separated.
Right.
Well, you don't want to separate the brood because if you have two frames of brood, then those are going to be covered with bees and they're going to stay warmer. So you don't want to put a cold foundation in the middle of them. Don't ever do that until it gets warm outside.
Right.
At night. At night.
Well, I put them
during the daytime.
on each side of the brood cell because I figured that was the safest place to put it, and they had a place to stand. I moved honey away from them.
I would have not put them right beside the brood. I would have put the pollen patty or the pollen and then that, and then let
Right.
the rest of it be honey. So just something to think about. I think our cold is over for a day or so.
Well, I know
So-
that that's all I do anymore is look at the overnight temperatures. Sunday and Monday are 26 and 27, but everything else is is 40s and 50s. So I think I should wait until Sunday to do my splits.
Yeah,
You guys
I'm
already
really
been in your
close to doing
hives, like got in them?
Pardon me?
You've already been in them?
I
She's
was in my,
Greenbrier, she's south.
I'm south. I went in them and I made sure that they were all queen right. If I saw queens and I saw eggs, so I know that they all are queen right.
Okay, Bridget, for you that like me are in colder area, if you see pollen coming in there, you're queen right. They will not come bring pollen in if they don't have brood. Debbie,
Yeah, I
agree?
saw some yellow
Correct.
pollen.
Yeah.
Well,
I have
then
not
you're
opened
fine.
mine, Bridget, and we're close.
Yeah. I
I
had
did treat them. I treated them the other day when it was
I'm
warm.
gonna treat. I think I'm gonna treat mine tomorrow. But the weather's breaking. I had like 4 days of 65s and 70s.
Right.
I knew I had enough time for them to recluster. They're flying every day now here.
I popped
treated
my
Sunday.
lids and gave them all pollen patties. Now that's another thing I wanted to talk to you guys about. Everybody's pressuring you newbies about feeding pollen patties, and you do not want to feed pollen patties unless you want a hive full of bees. I do that because, I kind of know how to manage them a little bit, and for, to build big hives for my honey production. And if I was selling nukes, then I would do it for that. But if you want to slow your production down, then let nature take its course. You can feed them, they say feed 1-to-1. I do a little bit stronger mixture. I don't do 2-to-1 anymore. I switched last year because I was very adamant. It was like only feed 2-to-1 all the time. And then Bob Benny, watched him, and then Bill Lane, the guy from ONA, we were talking, and that's what he does. What is a pollen patty? Yeah, good question. But anyway, so it's a 1.35 or something, and I have the measurements for that. If you guys want those, but it's a little bit stronger sugar, and it's more like nectar, and they can build wax and stuff like that. So, but that's what you want to do instead of giving them pollen patties. And you can put dry pollen out, and mine are hitting that pretty hard right now. So they're doing both.
Yep.
A pollen patty, sadly, it's a man-made product unless you're fortunate enough to gather it from your own bees, but I am not. But we buy it, and it's a man-made protein. Like, we buy protein powders, and it's just like that. And it gives them the amount of protein that they need to start taking care of their babies, and, taking care of the queen and everything. But it gives them energy. We put honey and sugar, and that's about all I put in mine, and a little bit of water. But some people put oil, and they suggest not to do that anymore, vegetable oil, because they don't need it. They thought it would, put on fat on your bees. But that's all they do. And we have a problem around here with small hive beetles, and they're just little beetles that come in, and they can really wreck your hive. And so they love pollen patties. So if you're in an area that have small hive beetles, then you can either not feed them at all, or just feed them little, like Oreo size, until they eat that, and then give them another one. And then when they stop eating it, then you need to take that out of the hive. But yeah, that was a good question, and I'm sure that didn't answer it for you very well, but I can show you the bag. You and your mom need to come up and hang out with me, and I can show you all this other stuff that we'll be talking about too. But that was a good question. Good job.
You said something about a banana. What do you do with a banana?
We make hornet traps, like these
Part
hornets
of the
that,
recipe.
Yes.
yeah,
I'll
yeah,
post the
and
recipe one again.
it's on our page. I can
Yeah.
I can bump it up, and
Yeah.
but yeah, I hang it all over around my bees. I don't have any bees here, but I'll still hang them
It's
because I'll probably bring my nukes here. But everywhere your hive is, you want to hang them. And what the purpose is right now is to try to get the queen. When she comes out to feed, she'll hopefully come in there, and she can't, it's like a gnat trap. They fly in, they can't fly back out. And every queen that we can kill is every hive, because the queen is the only one that survives during the winter. Everybody else dies, and then she comes out and she builds a nest, I guess, and then lays her eggs, and then then all heck breaks loose. So
Yeah, so it's a 2-liter bottle that you make a little hole towards the top for them to get in, and you put in 2 cups of water, 2 cups of sugar, a 1/4 cup of apple cider vinegar, and a 1/4 of a piece of banana peel. And you drill a hole through the top. If you use like a 2-liter soda bottle, put a hole through the top and put a string through it, or a piece of parachute cord, and you can hang it from trees. And I've learned not to make the hanging part real long because then the wind takes it and
Right.
slams it against the trees and they break.
Yep.
Good point.
And I had a bear tear mine down last year. So yeah, I had it hanging in the tree in the camp and it was on the ground. But
And Bridget, I gotta tell Bridget something. My first
yeah.
swarm last year was April 14th.
Yeah.
My first swarm last year was April 14th. So you have so
Yeah.
much time before they get into a swarm.
Mine are in May.
Yeah,
My swarms come in May.
yeah.
Hadley wanted to know if you feed the pollen patties all year or just winter time. Actually, you only feed them in the spring and then possibly later in the fall, or then every time you make a little nuke, like a split, which I know is going way over your head, but when you take a little nuke, you know, the queen and 4 frames out, then I always give them pollen patties. I keep them in my freezer, and I just when I know I'm going to make splits, then I take them out, and it just gives them a little boost, gives them something to eat on.
You
So
just set
I've
them
had
straight
some.
on top of your frame.
you're welcome. Do what?
You just put the patty straight on top of the frame.
I do.
Yeah.
People use wax paper. I don't. I just put it right on the frames. I blow them out of the way, and then I take a spoon and put it on there, and then I spread it out so my lid will shut. And yeah, yep.
I've had some pollen in my pollen feeder for almost 2 weeks now, and they're not touching it
Oh
because
wow, mine are hitting it pretty
real
good.
pollen available. They're not taking it at
Yes.
all.
Oh,
Just
wow.
checked it again today, and it's not touched.
Huh. Cool. Well, that's good. That's better than the synthetic for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but they do love that stuff whenever there's a need. They'll get in there and just come out just total yellow. So, yeah. But oh, don't get it wet. Do not get it wet because then it smells like a dead animal. Why do I know that? Yeah, I know. It was in the back of my truck. And yeah, I got up at 2 o'clock night before last because I heard it raining and I left my pollen patties uncovered because I don't have a lid for that tote. So me and the dog, no, he wouldn't even go outside. So at 2 o'clock, my husband said, "What were you doing?" So it's like, yep, because we have Ring camera. So a lot of help he was. He said, "Yeah, I heard it ring. I figured it was a deer, and you didn't even." I said, "You didn't even check on me." So I said, "I guess if
I have a
you didn't see
question.
me that morning." Yeah.
I put my frames over the winter in the freezer. So I
Yeah.
pulled the ones out that had some comb and nectar and stuff in them and put them in the box. Was that too soon, or should I?
Well, you just have to be really careful because as soon as it starts warming up, then those moths will be out trying to find stuff to lay in. So if you have them in the sun, they're okay, and your bees will come and rob them out. But if you have them like in your basement or your garage, then you're probably going to attract wax moths. So
Should I put them back
yeah.
in the freezer?
Well, it's either that or we have Xanthera. Is that what it's called, Michelle?
Yeah. Yes.
Then that you can
Centauri.
buy and spray, and it's good for 2 to 3 months. And you
That
only
don't
have
hurt
to.
the bees?
No, no. It's people. It's a known spray that they
It's
use in the garden,
yeah, it's
and they
got some
found
kind of bacteria. It's known as commonly BT.
yeah,
What's it mean? Bo?
yeah. It
No,
also
'cause I thought that I would be having to put a box on sometime soon. I mean, I didn't know. I just assumed that they needed to defrost and stuff. So I was like,
right. No. That's a yeah, it's a good thing to do. You could do it. I mean, if it's warm enough to add a box. Well, I listened to Ian Stepler, and he said, you know, he does deeps singles, and when he comes out, and if they grow, you know, because some of his come out and they're like 10 frames already, but not solid. And if he needs to add a box, he said it's better if it's in the cool area to add it underneath it and give them room that way than to add it on top where it's all cold and stuff. And that made a lot of sense. So if you feel like you need to add your box and it's still cold weather, then add it underneath.
I don't know. I haven't got in my hive. I peeked at
Yeah,
the top and they're at the top, like where all the
yeah,
sugar and stuff was. I could see in the hole, but which is
yeah.
full, but I mean, I was scared to break the seal on the boxes since it's still
Well,
getting cold.
you can break the seal on the boxes, just don't break the seals on the frames right now, is where the damage happens.
Okay.
Yeah, I only went through two of mine, one because it was such a little thing and found out that, I went through it, did not find a queen, so I added it to this other one that was um she was so little and she was a pathetic queen, so it's like requeen fast exclamation mark. And I don't even know where she came from, but anyway, and then one I opened the lid to put the pollen patty and they were just roaring. And I was like, oh, great. So they usually only roar if they don't have a queen. Well, I went in there and found the queen and she was beautiful, had eggs and everything. And it was like, what is your all's problem? They did not tell me. But it I was surprised because they usually do not roar like that. So, but
Would I add a deep? Because I have a deep and a super, or a deep and medium or whatever. So when it's time, and I'm adding a deep, or does it
well,
matter?
if you have all that, I think you'll be fine. I
Mhm.
think you'll be fine. Yeah. I only have a single, and then I have a single with an empty box with frames in it that I put just for to keep them, out of the cold, just to because I went both ways. And next year everyone will be in a single. But and I've done a lot of research lately about single brood, and if anybody's wants to try to do that, I would help you learn. And I'm learning too. And Amy, I need to saw you come on and I really need to talk to you. But they said, that if you want honey, that it's a really good way to go. And if I was a new beekeeper, I would want to learn how to do that because right now, Bridget, if I say go find your queen, you have to go through what, 60 frames, right?
Right now,
You have
no,
you have two
20.
deeps and a medium.
No, I have one deep.
And a medium.
Yes. So
Okay,
it's
so
20.
that's right, 20 frames. All right. Yeah, I meant to say 40 and I said 60. But with
So
with
Phyllis, after
with that,
I wintered over my first nuke, and I liked how much it came through. It was a double nuke, so it was total 10 frames,
uh-huh.
and it convinced me I really want to try a single deep
Yeah.
because it's a completely different ball game, and she came through beautiful. She's probably one
Yeah.
of the nicest hives out there.
I'm telling you, mine, I have maybe a couple that came through like dinks, but then the rest of them are 7 to 10 frames. Well, I'd say 9. The 10 frame ones, they were spread out. So I'd say 8 to 9. And just
Can you do a
just
single deep with an 8-frame hive?
oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah,
I think
Yeah.
it's
because it
interesting.
seems like those 2 extra frames would add a lot of stuff to the
Brood.
hive.
Well, I mean, you would have to pay attention, I think. Amy, you can chime in whenever you want, but to me, because you have to go back in and pull, like I have some, I think I told you last week that I have some that are just pollen crazy. And they would do the whole brood box with pollen if I would let them. So I have to go in there and it doesn't need any honey. And well, during the winter it does. But during, winter time, I'm sorry, spring, summer, then they don't need the honey in there. I leave one honey and one pollen, and the rest of it comes out, and the rest of it is stuff places for her to lay. But you have to go in, I go in maybe every 2 weeks and check it. And then, I have to move all the supers off. But that lets me know how many that are full or they're not pulling in or whatever. So it's kind of an inspection as well. But
How many
yeah,
last year? How many super boxes did you put on one single brood box? What was the
well,
most?
uh, well, I had one of them, I had two deeps and a medium. So, but
Wow.
I didn't do it all at once, you know.
Right.
So, but you just with the way that, you know, I'm teaching myself here, really. Don't have a mentor, so just only YouTube. And I talked to people today, and I'm waiting for their response back, and we'll see. You know, it's Facebook, so they might be nice and they may not be. But I want to know how, like Ian Stepler, his comes out of winter, and when they get bigger, he adds another brood box. Well, last year, listening to that little beekeeping like a girl, she's like, you know, we're in the honey product or producing, so production. So when her nukes get, you know, 8 to 10 frames, then she puts an excluder on and a honey super. And that's what I did. And I got, I'd say close to 100 pounds, you know, with two little nukes. So that's
Wow.
probably the way that I'll
Wow.
do this. And Michael
Mhm.
Palmer, and he runs singles, and as soon as he sees the dandelions, then he puts a queen excluder and two mediums on, which is one deep. So
Right.
yeah. And then
Okay.
you know, to go in and check them, you don't, you know, like everybody else would have two deeps going. And I kept them like that forever. And so you have to find that queen, or, you know, maybe you don't, but I always try to. And you have to go through 20 frames versus, and usually when in a single deep, she's right there in the brood area. So you
Yeah.
really only have to go through a few frames. So yeah, it's just easier, I think. And you know, there's pros and cons to every way that we do it. But okay, Amy, I saw you finally took your mic off, or mute. So my question to you, and this is the question that I put on Facebook, is coming out of winter, because this is my first time wintering with them all. And how are you going to get your bees ready for spring? Do you double deep them, or do you queen exclude, fix their brood area, queen exclude, and then super?
Well, it depends. Most of them is so I run deep bottoms and medium supers.
Right.
One yard's 8 frames, the other yards are 10 frames. But I overwinter everybody in a single deep, with the exception of some boxes that were in my resource hives. You know, they're like 4 and a follower board and
Sure.
4 frames. So then I go up, like Kathy said she did, and those all came through winter booming. You know, 4/4, 5/5, whatever they were.
Right.
But regardless, when I see the dandelions and the forsythias, I put a queen excluder on and two supers. Now
Okay.
we're a little behind here this year, so I haven't done any of that. I haven't even
Right.
opened anybody. I mean, I opened through some food
Right.
on and that.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Now,
I will.
before you put that queen excluder on, do you go through and make sure that everything's kosher in the bottom, like it's not full of pollen and it's not full
Not
of
at the
honey?
beginning. I usually just throw it on and walk away until it warms up enough. So I think I threw a queen excluder on and supers on last year at the end of March. And then the second week in April, it looks like then I went through them. But it just, that was a weather dependent thing. So I think we had 2 weeks of
Right.
rain or something last year. So, but I would prefer to go in, clean up the brood, you know, move
Right.
the frames a little bit, so forth, so forth. Get all the
Yeah.
sugar cubes off or whatever's left from winter. But so if I'm just doing them for honey production, I will not
Yeah.
do a double deep on top at all. I'll
Right.
just let them go. Now, if I'm making nukes to sell, then that's different. So
Sure. Yeah.
you know, total different. But the queen will never outpace that size of the box. She can't mathematically
lay that much. So what they will do is, I find, in my opinion, because I think that's how I did it starting like my second year of beekeeping. I switched over because I was spending so much time looking for her, and it just seemed like they were eating is because mine brewed up really heavy. You know, as Italians, we like to populate over on my end of town. So they're brooding up fast. And so I felt like they were eating all the honey and not storing it, or storing it and not putting it away in the pantry. So I like to think of putting a queen excluder on, and then the supers, if that's the pantry. So they move everything up there. They're more efficient using the space in the bottom. So by putting everything up in the pantry, if they need it, they will bring it right back down to feed, to feed or keep up with whatever. But she's not going to run out of room. That one box does not mathematically allow her to run out of room to lay. So by the time those emerge and start hatching out, then the next group is coming in. So for me, I think the advantages would be, it's super easy to find the queen. You're lifting less boxes.
Yeah.
And then I kind of feel, I don't have any research, but just from like looking, I feel like my mite treatments are more effective because really everything's condensed to one box.
Well,
And
that's what I heard today. Multiple people said that, especially like if you use mite away strips and stuff like that, because it's all right there. It's not in double storage. But yeah. And
it's right there. And then I feel like I don't have as many pest issues. I feel like I was having more beetles when I was doing double deeps, and the same. So in these conversations, my advantages and disadvantages, I can say these 3 or 4 particular yards, I've done the same thing in the particular yard. So, I went from double deeps to single. I never had hive beetle problems. So I don't know if it's more of they cluster more closely. So it's harder for maybe intruders to come in because they can guard it better. I don't feel like the hive beetles, I don't know. They just went away. They just were not an issue ever.
If you look at a double deep, they have all this room above, and then they have an inner cover or some type of cover that the bees or the hive beetles can hang out at. And
they just seem to help. I don't know. They were gone.
And when you do a single deep, it's not like that.
And
because all the bees up here, there's no brood, anything like that. So
not only space, Phyllis, there's that whole heat efficiency, cooling and heating. So in full transparency, when I say I do single deeps, there are some I do put slatted racks on the bottom, but I don't consider that a brood. That's just spacing. But if somebody says, well, you're not really doing singles. If you looked at my yards now, some of them are a hot mess. If I had a dead out, I just threw the extra from the neighbor, and so they are taller and bigger. I think it's a little bit challenging because you have to manage and you have to watch your swarm control because you are down to one box. So you have to.
That's what I worry about.
Well, you're skilled enough now. I mean, come on.
Yeah. So I have 3 hives that I always go just make honey producers on them. Right now they're a deep and a medium, and I was gonna queen exclude the medium and start. That's how I was gonna start my single, but I still got to manage that bottom box.
What do you have to do for the bottom box?
Got to make sure I don't have swarms. So I've got to keep my eye on the bottom box. Those 3 are going to be easy to convert to single brood boxes because I can just queen exclude the mediums on there and let it hatch out and start that way.
Yeah.
Right?
See, I feel.
So Amy said she doesn't go through hers. I would go through mine just to see what's what. And
I'm just saying, the weather's cold, I don't go through them. I just throw something on and walk away. And then when it's warmer, I do go through them.
Gotcha.
Right now,
yeah.
I think you have to.
I can start those 3 right. I mean, this weekend I can throw queen excluders on 3 of them and start that way. And the other
if
ones,
your hives are big enough and they need it, then yeah, definitely.
You just need to be on top of your management, Kathy, which you'll do fine in the beginning. But I think you get more honey because you're throwing a super on faster. Now, if you need comb drawn out and you need, and you're just getting started and you need to get all that comb, this is not the way to go for a beginner.
No.
No,
You
I have
need to
one,
have, you
especially-
need to be a couple, in my opinion, I think you need to be a couple years in, because you need lots of comb. That way
I
you
have
can just,
lots of medium comb, lots of medium comb.
you know, when you're in the beginning, you just
But-
have foundation. You've just got to work on getting that foundation drawn for you. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And then after you can checkerboard them, and you know, once you have some. But for new beekeepers, I would not suggest that.
Well,
you know.
if they had a mentor that could help them get comb, because that's, you know, that's just the name of the game, and then they could probably go through winter with a single brood, and then
Mhm.
yeah. So don't, you know, anybody that's on here that's new, don't you know, don't discard it, but you can work, like Amy said, get 2 deeps full of comb, and then you're good to go.
You might
So,
want to
and-
consider, well, I know we all have our favorite little YouTube people, not little, that's ignorant to say that. I mean, just, you know, I mean, that in an endearing quality. Our favorite YouTube people, Paul Kelly out of Guelph does a great, University of Guelph. He does a really good single versus
Yes, I've
double
watched it.
brooks. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And it's
But he
really
doesn't say-
good. It makes it,
He doesn't say how he comes out of winter though, does he? Because I started to click entered it in there today.
yeah,
and it
he
was
goes
like,
down to single. He goes down to
Yeah.
single deeps. Then he goes double deep. He puts a double deep on because they're splitting them all for increasing production.
yeah,
So,
yeah.
so I think
Yeah.
they're in the business of selling bees.
Well,
yeah.
my doubles I'm gonna make nukes out of. I have 7 out there that I
Yeah,
was gonna make
yeah.
out of doubles.
And Hadley wanted to know about do all bees get along? They get along in their hive, and that's it. Because you missed the first class, and we talked about the pheromones, and it's just the smell that each colony has, each queen, each worker, and each drone has in a hive. And they have guard bees at the entrance that do not let other bees in. They will fight them and kill them. So they only get along if it's in there. Now they'll get on a flower together. You know, they're not vindictive like that, but they don't let other bees come into their hive. So, if that makes sense. Good question. So, but okay. Well, I feel better. I'm just going to do it like I did with my little nuke. You're welcome. And my little nukes last year, they grew out, and I threw a super on them with an excluder, and they did great. But it does take a little bit more TLC, Kathy, I think. Smiley face. So yeah, but it's not overwhelming, you know. And if you didn't care, a lot of people just let them swarm, you know, make a new queen.
I don't want to just let them swarm. In fact, I really want to make the nukes, and
Yeah.
and if I get it down to single deeps, like you said, it's easier to manage 10 frames instead of going through 20, 30, and 40.
Well, and then if you have it in the single deep, you can always pull brood up and put it in the very top box, and you know, they'll make a queen out of it, and then you can, you know, have queens for that. So, or buy that. So there's, you know, advantages with that too. It's like doing the Damari method.
My
Anytime
mind's,
that-
and you're talking about new beekeepers, and here I am, like 18 years later, going, I think I want to try something new, and there's so
Well,
much.
that's what I said. I
so
wish I
much
would
to
have known.
learn.
I wish I would have known this years ago, because it's just it's just an easy way of keeping bees compared to the double
So you
deeps.
guys are
'Cause-
putting your,
do what? You're breaking up, Bridget.
when you're doing your single deeps and then you're adding your medium for your honey. So are you then adding another medium, or when you take
Correct.
that one off?
Don't even take it off. Just put it on or under super. Do you know what I mean by under super? I'm sorry, I'm not sure who I'm speaking with because I'm driving, but do you understand what
It's
under
Bridget.
super that term is?
Under super, no.
Okay, so
Well,
if you have a queen excluder and you put super number 1 for sake of discussion, okay,
Okay.
when that one gets full, in my
Right.
opinion, I instead of putting
Take
it
it
on
off.
top as number 2, I put number 1, an empty one goes above the queen excluder, and no, number 1 goes on top.
Okay, yes.
because I don't want the bees in it when I do singles, because I don't want the bees to see that honey band as a honey barrier.
Gotcha. Yes.
And then sometimes they start to backfill. And I don't know if you're familiar with, and I don't mean to be demeaning, I don't know your experience, but backfilling is when they start putting nectar down in. And so you got to manage this big hive in one box. So you, instead of having them backfill, because I had an issue with a lot of swarming when I first started, as these ladies know, I was getting all this backfilling. Well, I really don't think it was backfilling as it was poor management on my end. So in undersupering, they hurried up and quickly moved that out because the queen wanted to lay. So now I'm getting more honey up. And that first super is always like their pantry. They not steal, but they take and put up for feeding the amount of brood. And then everything after that really becomes mine that I take. And so if you have enough comb to do that, I would then under super. Does that make sense? So put a new super on in the first position, the first one goes on top. But you got to lift more boxes and it does get heavier. But I think there's just you have to just stay on top of it, with with one box.
Well, and if you're set up, you can always pull the, like the capped ones, or take your meter, and if it's close to 18, then pull it, go, spin it out and put it back on. Even
now
if it's like
that's a quick way to fill it up fast. Put those wet supers back on. Those things get filled up twice as fast.
Yes, they do.
So, but then
Kathy, when you're saying about splitting and all that, you have nothing to lose by splitting, because if they don't take, you can just put them back.
Yes, I know. I have they're gigantic of some of these deeps I have here, and I don't want more hives. That's why I'm selling nukes this year.
Do the Demaray, or just sell the queen off.
Yeah.
And go vertical instead of multiple hives going right and left, go vertical.
Exactly.
You could Demaray, I don't know, 2, maybe even push it, depending if we don't get a DER 3 in a year.
I had a guy on club who got over 200 pounds off of one Demaray. 200 pounds. That's a lot of honey.
You just have to remember to have a hole in that upper box for the drones, because they can't fit back through the queen excluders. I kind of forgot on one of mine. I was like, all these headless, they get stuck. Felt terrible.
Yep.
So what do? You put entrances up on the honey boxes?
Yeah, maybe you
just
could
leave one to let the drones out. So
doesn't have to be in every box.
If you bring them up, if you bring brood up, drone brood and such, But if it's all honey producers, then you're fine. I mean, honey supers, then you're fine. But I also like one hole at the top, because they don't have to come in and up. They can just fly. And some of them
I saw
will use
somebody
it,
put entrances under each of his honey supers to give them each in it. It was wild.
Well, I only do one, and I clog the others because I'm afraid of robbing. So, but do what you want. So,
I'm still thinking about the singles and the splits.
Yeah.
Well, if you split them, you're making a single.
Yes.
Yeah.
Split them. Put an excluder on. Put a honey super on.
Well, the 3 of them that have a medium on, I was gonna queen exclude them anyway. That's easy, and let them hatch out. Make sure the queen's on the bottom and hatch it out. And then I have my single brood box. So those 3 I'm good with. The other ones I'm gonna nuke them out and get them down to singles.
So when you nuke them out, are you taking a swarm cell, or are you making a?
I'm going to take swarm cells, and I have a queen castle. I'm going to see if I can go. I've done it before. I can raise 3 queens easily that way myself.
They're saying those are the best queens because they take care. And also heard, like Bob Benny, he said, if you really want a good queen, to kill the ones that are capped when you go in there, and use the ones that are uncapped, and let because they've taken more care.
Use the uncapped one rather than a capped one?
Yes, because they hurried up and made the swarm, And then but the other ones, they took care and fed and caressed whatever and took care of. The ones that are uncapped, they took better care of than the first ones that they hurried up and made
Interesting.
for a swarm.
Okay.
Can I
Yeah.
piggyback on that thought? Phyllis?
Absolutely.
I think not only about, proper nutrition and taking care of them, because they, were in that mindset of swarming, or say you roll a queen or something, they're just hurrying up making things from any egg, which
Right.
most
Yep.
likely those were older eggs, which, as we know, the best queens come from
Right.
like a 36-hour queen. So if you go in and get the ones that are capped and leave the uncapped are the youngest eggs. So those are truly made at the most opportune time. So those are your better queens. And
Thank you.
along with
That's
what
good
Phyllis
to
is
know.
saying.
See, I learned something else new today.
Yeah.
And the real big ones, everybody says, oh, they're like as big as my index finger. Those aren't the good ones. That's when you shook the frame and she got dislodged from the wax and fell down. Like when they're real big, like 2.5 inches long.
And
Those
sometimes they're empty. They just,
And
Deb-
it's
I don't know,
funny.
they were
I like
Deb and
them.
I
practicing or
had that last year. I don't know if she's on here. She should be.
Yeah.
We had a lot of duds. Which was
We
bizarre.
opened like
I did
12
too.
to
I did
15
too.
one day and they were all empty. They got real hard all the way through.
Yep.
And I listened to this woman talk, a beginner beekeeper, and she tells you to go for the biggest ones. And I'm going, that's not what I learned.
Yeah. No, that's not true.
Yeah, if they're uncapped, you can actually see the royal jelly in there and everything, so you know it's a good. That makes sense.
Yeah, it
Thank
sure
you.
does.
You know
Bob
what
Benny
you'll
is
get.
awesome.
Like the ones already capped, you don't know what's in there.
Right.
Right.
Because we got burned how many times, Deb? On that.
Yeah, we
just started opening.
we had a lot of them a year ago.
Was that also the year the multiple swarms on one day? Like there were some bizarre
Yes.
environmental things.
Yes, it was. Because we were getting them and we were trying to make our splits and they weren't working. And then so one day you and I got frustrated and we opened them all up. None of them was any good. So all our splits we thought we were making weren't
Duds.
viable splits
They were
because there
duds,
wasn't a
okay.
cell. The cell wasn't any good.
Yep.
Because we're good. Both of us are good at making our time, counting, keeping track, and so we knew when she should have been out, and when
Right.
she wasn't out, we said why, and we opened them all up, and none of them was in there.
Interesting. Interesting.
Love you, girls. Gonna
just
let you
never
go.
know. All right. Thanks,
Okay.
Beth. It's good seeing
I
you.
think I
Great
better run
hearing you.
too, but thank you so much for all the great information.
That's what P chats. That's what B chat's for.
Yes, I
P-chat.
missed it.
I thought you were gonna say peach schnapps. I was like, is that what it is?
Amy, look, Amy, Angie, what's up? Your mouth is moving, nothing's coming out.
Oh, well, because I'm trying to think and process through. I think I've made enough mistakes that some pieces are starting to fall together now.
There you
There you
go. That's
go.
what we need.
That's
to
how
hear.
we've
Yeah.
all learned. Yeah.
Yep.
Yes.
So
Who
yeah,
hasn't? For sure.
so yeah, I think I'm figuring some things out now that I thought I was doing was right, but I'm doing it wrong. And now I know yeah, things are making sense now. And so hopefully I can fix some things.
Yeah. Well, I
Very
just
good.
posted that podcast on our page, and
Cool.
take some time. It's long, but yeah, listen to it. She's
I got
really
another
good.
I got another one today that I was watching.
Yeah, what's that? Go ahead and post it if it was good.
Well, I think it was Michelle. She posted one. It was the same guy about the adding the. So I've gotten a couple from Francis. The other one was
Michelle did the one on Wiggle Dance.
split before the flow, not after the queen cells. Split before the flow, not after
Yeah.
you see queen cells, which is true.
Well, that's what gets me is like all these people tell these beekeepers, oh, your hives are so big, you need to split them. And it was like, no, you just need to manage them.
Right.
So Now, some genetics you can't stop from swarming. That's all there is to it. So there you don't want that in your bee yard. So you want to change genetics if you can.
Okay,
But
Kathy, didn't you tell me that 20 days after you see a dandelion, the swarm season can start?
No, I don't know if it's 20 days. I know that they say that once dandelion's up, you should add a honey super.
Okay, because the first dandelion I saw was on March 6th.
Whew.
Wow.
well,
I don't have any,
is it
but I
just
seen them in
one?
Morgantown today.
Well, it would, yeah, well, maybe,
I mean, I saw one 2 weeks ago when I came home. One.
yeah, well, now like I saw random ones here and there. Like,
What has helped me the most is keeping a journal, because now I go back to see what happened last year at this time and the year before at this time, and I'm finding out that the second week in April is when my area starts swarming. And it gets worse in May, but it starts in the middle of April.
I'll
okay,
give you an observation, Kathy and Angie. I have this theory I've been trying to follow the last couple of years. When the hummingbirds return to your area, swarming happens. And I've been right 3 years in a row. I have no idea why. There's probably, I'm sure there's some reason, but that seems to be, maybe most things, the nectar, is in full force or something. I'm not sure, but
okay. Amy, what area are you in?
Morgantown.
Morgantown.
Yeah. I watch Kathy a lot because I'm in Charleston, right out of Charleston,
Mhm.
and her climate seems to be very similar to mine, even though we're far, far away. So whatever she says she does, I try to do it the next day.
There you go.
Well,
Yeah.
there's
So
Bill Lane
Amy
lives
and
down. Sorry, go ahead, Amy.
that was me. Amy and I live, what, 15
Oh.
minutes apart? She's down by the river and I'm up on the hill. So when we go to an out yard, she'll call me, what's happening up there? Even though we're only 15 minutes apart, we have
Right.
what, a week, sometimes a week and a half difference
Mhm.
Yes.
when she
I know
calls
it's
me.
colder in Charleston. You get more snow in Charleston than I get.
Right. But I'm right on the river and I have John Amos plant right smack dab behind me. And we get a lot of weird stuff because of that. Like it's warmer, I think.
Yeah. Well, Bill Lane, like I was saying, he lives in Ona, which is down past you a few minutes, and he's already splitting.
Okay.
What's the
there's a
elevation difference? Between Debbie and I think we're 700 feet or 800, maybe 700
I'm
feet
at
elevation.
2,300 feet elevation. What are you at, Ange?
I have no idea.
Do you have an iPhone? Because
Yeah.
right off, you can get elevation right off of that.
Okay. Where do I find that?
I'm going to think for a second.
Well, mine is an app, but
Mine is, I'm going to think about it for a second.
You're Charleston, Angie?
Yeah, I'm about 13, 14 miles.
Well, you're low. Aren't you only like 700 feet or something? I don't know. I
So-
think it's from
well-
a garden zone.
what are you, Kathy?
2,300.
21? I didn't get it.
It is an app. I know I have the app somewhere.
Well, I'm just going to ask
Just-
AI.
And yeah, I could say just Google what is the elevation and then give your address and it'll tell you.
Mine's at 25.9.
I think mine was on my
580.
compass. It was on the compass.
587.
587.
Yeah,
Yes.
so you're low. You're pretty low. So look at you to Phyllis, you're 2,000 feet difference. I think she just said 2,500 or something. So,
Yeah. Yeah.
I think maybe taking all this with a grain of salt when I'm saying, or like you said, go based on somebody who's close to you, because look at Phyllis, me, and Deb. We're like, Phyllis is up high, then Deb, then me. So our swarming seasons are going to be off based on elevation, even though we're all in West Virginia.
Yeah.
Right.
And what are you, Kathy?
I'm at 2,300 feet, 2,320.
That's a big difference again.
Yeah.
But I'm southeast too.
Mm-hmm.
Does anybody have drones yet? I mean, is there anybody
I
to be
do.
mated with?
I have
I'm
drone
getting-
cells. I've got cat drone.
I have, yeah, my bigger hives have drone cells at the very top of the frames. So yeah, I'm getting them.
Mine are across the bottom frames.
I haven't seen any drone cells yet.
So keep in mind about splitting if there's nobody to mate with. No point in splitting.
Right.
Oh, yeah,
I
right.
mean, not that they're going to mate in your hive, but I'm just saying using that as a reference to who's in your area.
Yeah, I
Well, and
saw
I watched a guy the other day. It was Bob Benny, and he was giving a talk over in Scotland, and he said, we were always told that when we have purple-eyed drones, that they would be mature enough after they hatched to mate with the queen, and he said you don't want to do that. He said you want to see a lot of drones in your hive before you start making your queens. He said that way your queen would get bred much better than if you just say, oh, well, I've got purple-eyed drones, because you have to crack them open. So
My
yeah.
elevation is 2,129.
you're close to me.
So there's 1,000 feet difference between us.
Well, when I just Googled Melbourne, Florida, and it said it was 13.
Yeah. Well, it says, okay, I got on top of Google Maps.
I
It
had a
says-
house in Linwood in New Jersey. I was below sea level.
But it says the average elevation of Poca is 709. The minimum is 551 and the maximum is 1056.
If you have a compass on your phone, your compass will tell you your elevation rate where you are.
Okay.
Everybody has a compass on their phone. It comes
Yeah,
with
the
it.
compass, when you look at the compass, it'll tell you right on the bottom. Mine says Frankfurt, West Virginia, 2320 foot elevation.
Okay.
Yeah, mine says 26, so it must round it off. Because I'm 25. Well, I guess I'm close enough, 25.98. So
Are you on the porch or are you down by your car?
Yeah, that's a
Are
kill.
you up at the tunnel? It
I
depends.
go upstairs and it'll probably be higher.
There you go.
I'll go to the high tunnel tomorrow. That's cool. All right, Hadley. Sorry, I'm bad with names, but it was great to be with you. And next time you can talk, we won't hurt you. So thanks a lot, and we will get together shortly, as soon as the nice weather comes back. Thanks, Rachel.
Is
Thank
there
you.
anything that I should be doing for this week till next chat?
I think I'm
I
going to
treated-
upgrade my hives.
Look at your weather, and that'll tell you exactly what you're doing.
Queen
So
exclude OA.
look your weather up.
Check your weather, and if it's a nice day and it's not going to get cold that night, then you can get in and look what you're doing. Give them a warm night to get back together, after you've separated them a little bit.
I always look at the overnight temperatures. That's really
Yeah.
important.
Overnight temperatures is more important than daytime temperatures.
Like over 50?
Yeah. Ish.
Yeah.
High
Just to let you-
40s.
Yeah.
Starting
let
next
you know,
week, it's in the
Bridget,
40s
guys-
and 47, 52 overnight.
You
That's
can look
that's
at, instead of taking you can take your lid off and see your bees,
Yeah.
or you can leave your lid on and pop your bees, like, tailgate it if you can do that. And you can see the cluster underneath. And that way you don't have to go through all your frames, and then not, pay attention to see if you have pollen coming in the entrance, and then you're pretty set on knowing that you have a queen.
I
Unless
did see
guys
them bring
tomorrow.
pollen in,
Yeah, good.
but
Hey,
when should I take the sugar off?
I would wait until it gets very warm, and
Okay.
then are they heavy? Because they know it's there. So do they have a lot left?
Yeah, a good bit, yeah.
Huh. So they didn't use
might
it.
not need
Mine,
it.
I only had like 2 hives with sugar on.
I took one board off. It wasn't even touched, and I have a cup. That
Wow.
nuke that I have, I
Mhm.
took Hive Live fondant patties and I cut them in
Mhm.
half, and
Mhm.
tape them up and cut the hole in. I put 2 halves on there, a whole sugar board, and some bricks. The only thing about that, it didn't store anything all winter.
Huh. Huh.
I don't know why.
Yeah.
You can
But
keep that sugar, Bridget, if you decide when you decide to take it off, you can make your syrup out of that. So don't
Yes.
throw it away.
Oh, okay.
yeah,
Yeah, I
It's
have
still
a,
if
good.
you have a blender or whatever, you can throw it in there and because it's probably hard, not hard as a rock, but like hard tack candy.
Yeah, it
So,
was. So when
but yeah,
should you
like,
put the queen excluder on? After once it gets warm and you can go through it?
well, um, yeah, I mean, are you gonna do a single or are you gonna let them go up into your medium and keep that as a brood box? How are you gonna set your hive up?
I'll probably keep the deep and then I don't know yet.
The
Are
medium?
you
Probably
are you an experienced or new beakeeper, may I
no.
ask?
I'm
No,
big. I'm
second
a
year.
big.
Do you
Yeah.
need more comb drawn? Do you have a lot of comb?
Uh, well, I had more than what I thought I had. For some reason, I didn't think I had any, but I have about 10, maybe 8 deep frames and probably 8 medium frames, like fully grown.
That's good. Yeah, that's good. Yeah, so you could checkerboard um before you put your queen excluder on. If you're gonna, if you're gonna run deep and medium, then you can checkerboard and I don't know if you remember what that is, but it's comb foundation, especially
Hmm.
up in your medium. And you can, if you needed to, you could pull the comb and save it, or you can add it to another medium on top of them, because that's just free space right now. So,
Because I had that Nook. Well, it probably won't come until I think they said May.
oh, so
But
you'll probably, okay,
I think I'm gonna do a 8 frame because I have 8 frame boxes too. So I
yeah,
might do an 8 frame in that one with that one.
yeah, yeah. And with that though, because you're going to come with 4 frames of filled, you know, for the nuke. So then you only need 4 more frames, so you can have them pull out comb for you.
And
Yeah,
again, they're medium
feed them.
nukes, what I
Mm-hmm.
did last year. So
Yeah, yeah. See, you're already smarter than you were last year. That's good. Yeah,
I don't know about
but
that, but
but that'll give you more
learning.
comb, like Amy's saying, and that's it's priceless because if you have comb and you can put in there, then they just grow so fast. But if they've got to take time and pull out foundation, that it slows everything down. So yeah, but yeah, just kind of sit out there and think about how you want to do yours this year, and also that you have another one coming. So um and then when you get them and you can get into them, you can see, do you want this one's going to be robust compared to your nuke? Do you want to keep it like that? Or, you can always, if you didn't care, which I wouldn't do this, but you could take brood from that one and make this one, and then they would be equal. But that's totally up to you. So, or you can let this one be robust and take care of it and get honey from it. And you can help this one grow and hopefully get honey from that one as well, even if it's only
So
one super.
so Amy was saying like to get more comb, I should run double deeps.
I would for you, or your
I only
but
have one hive and I only started last year.
okay, so that's a deep. But your new hive coming, are you gonna do a deep on the bottom and a medium on top? I heard you say it's a medium nuke, but are you gonna run it all medium boxes? Or are you gonna
No, I'll switch it to a deep and a medium.
then I would run that other one as a double deep and pull those frames to help your newness coming.
Okay.
Yeah.
That way you're getting more frames drawn for your brood box of your deeps, and then when you switch them.
Wouldn't if she has a 10 frame with just undrawn comb, and if you put a feeder on top of it and feed, it'll draw it out real fast.
Mm-hmm.
I used a hive last year just to draw comb, and I fed it to death, and I kept on putting another box on. It would pull it out. I'd pull that box on and put another one on.
That's my resource hives. That's all their job is.
Yep.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Kathy, you know what I
Night,
just brought
Angie.
up? Seeing you and Deb on here.
See
If
you,
you went
Angie.
to
Good
bye,
night.
Angie.
So yeah.
If you guys went to Wheeling, don't forget that code is going to expire for our conference here in Morgantown in September. You get like $20 off the
I
conference.
saw that. I'm going to California a week later. I don't know if I'll be able to swing it.
Okay.
Yeah,
Deb-
I don't know if I'll make it either.
Deb, are you going to be at the Beckley Honey Show?
No. No, I'll be just coming back from Scotland.
Oh.
What's the date of the Beckley one?
It's in
August.
August.
Let me look, because the Beckley and the Parkersburg are back to back.
Well, the Parkersburg's at the end of the month. Isn't that the 23rd?
Oh, that's August. I'm not going until October. Maybe I can make that.
Parkersburg's the 22nd, while Saturday of it is the 22nd. So Beckley is 14th, 15th, and I'll be returning on the 13th, so I won't be able to swing all that.
They are back to back like that?
Yeah.
That's not
Because,
good.
you know, I'm looking for places for the honey shows. I mean, I've learned a lot from my last mistakes. I want to try again.
There won't be a honey show in Parkersburg this year because we don't have a building.
So I'd have to go to Beckley.
You'd have to go to Beckley.
And Beckley
You
I
can
can
go-
do as a
You
day
can go to
trip.
Sue's. You can go to Sue's in Pennsylvania. She's going to be the judge.
And she
No,
won't be in
just
the one in
saying.
Beckley though?
I don't know. I don't know if she's going to Beckley or not, but I know they asked her to be a judge at Pennsylvania.
See, the nice thing about Beckley, I can do it as a day trip.
Yeah.
Oh,
I can-
good then. Do that. You should do it.
I'm going to. I'm looking for.
I do that one, and then what's the Lewisburg Fair? Didn't you do that last year?
Yeah, but that's not sanctioned, so it doesn't count.
Are you doing it for points or just for experience?
I'm doing for points. I got a blue ribbon last year at the state at the fairgrounds, but this year I need the points. I'm going to enter a couple things. I tried making some candy that turned out pretty good.
You need a taste tester. We'll help you out.
I'll tell you what, I took it to all of my neighbors, and then I took it to my bar class and took it to all of them, and they all loved it. So I might enter that one.
Good for you.
I'm trying.
Cool.
And I'm looking for plastic lids for honey jars. I don't know where to find them yet. I'm looking. Any ideas?
Like the white ones, you mean?
Yes.
Blue Sky, I think, is where I got mine.
Blue Sky, thanks. Because that's one.
They're in Ohio. Yeah.
Oh, that's not bad. Blue Skies, thanks.
They're very nice to work with.
Thank you. Because that's one of the things that I got nailed on was banged up lids. They were clean, but they were banged up.
And that's what I was telling Amy too. What I learned at this last one, the white plastic lids do not attract dust like metal does. So when they're looking at their hives, they're saying your lids are dusty and debris. The white plastic ones, A, you can't see it, and B, it doesn't attract like metal does.
Okay, Amy, I have a question. When you clean up the top of your honey, what do you use? A toothpick?
I did. I used a toothpick.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm taking notes, girls.
Yeah.
I mean, some people say they use pipettes, but that
Use
just
what?
wasn't a pipette. I never had good luck with that.
Little plastic dropper thing.
Okay.
Let me just say something about Blue Sky. Pay attention when you order them because some are lined and unlined, and you want unlined.
Unlined? Thanks.
You know what I mean? That little silver things when you screw it down, it kind of gives like a safety seal. That's considered lined. You want
Mm.
unlined.
Unlined caps. Thank you.
Mhm.
Taking notes. And so I bought I did a lot of homework before I invested in this Apis tactical jacket. It really has some nice bells and whistles on it.
Are you
And
gonna
the
model it for us? Do you have it?
well, another time. But what I liked about it, one thing was I'm left-handed, and they have sleeve pockets. And they said they said I know it's not good for left-handed people, but it was more economical for them to order them all in right-handed. But if I really didn't like it, I could return the jacket for free, and they would get me a custom left-handed jacket.
Oh,
That was
cool.
pretty big.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sure. Yeah, because they didn't have to do that. That's
They
good.
didn't have to do that. A lot of good stuff. I mean,
They
said
sold out of their jackets so fast day one at the expo.
Yeah, I know. Well, I did my homework, and
wow.
it's got some nice features in it. It's a lot lighter, and I bought the one that is, I did. It's not a fencing. It's the one that goes all the way around because I think they're cooler.
Round hat. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. It has a loop on the back that you can hook to the back of your pants. If you have and it has a center zipper that keeps it tighter to your body besides the outside zipper.
Oh,
Oh,
wow. How much was this jacket?
It was 149, I think.
Oh, it's about, yeah, they run this, I don't know, about 100 to something for a normal jacket,
it's
79.
$1 a day for the summer season.
Yeah.
I figure I'll wear it. I'll get my money's worth
Sure.
out of it.
Yeah, that's good.
I may have a pair of tactical gloves I'll sell to somebody. I bought the short ones and a size small, and I just think my little sausage fingers are too I think it's gonna be too tight on my hand.
Is
I
it
can't do
is it the
short.
white one or the black one?
White.
I might talk to you about it then.
Okay.
I have the long one, but I don't like the long sleeve ones. I'll sell that to somebody.
Maybe we'll trade.
Okay.
Tactical?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yep.
Apis? Mine only come up to here.
Well, they have the long ones and I had the short ones.
Well, they have short ones, and then they have mine.
Yeah, I
didn't know
have
they had the ones clear up there.
yeah, they have ones that come
Huh,
up too, but
okay.
I like the ones like you have, but mine are
Yeah.
the brown black ones.
Yeah, mine are black or brown and white and
Mhm.
yellow.
They are the best gloves though. They really are.
They are. They truly are. Hard to get on, but they're wonderful when you have them on. So, all right, ladies, I'm
Okay.
done. You done?
I'm done. Thank you for everything. It was very
Oh, yeah.
educational.
Thanks for showing up. Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Good night, ladies.
Uh-huh.
Good
Good night.
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 Debbie, do you
Yeah.
do you know how long your class is going to be next week? Have you timed it or?
No, I haven't timed it.
Okay, well,
I will be tweaking it on Friday. I can let you know Friday.
I didn't, you bleeped out. I'm tweaking it on Friday, and then that's all I heard.
I can time it out on Friday. I'm just giving basics. I'm not going into deep detail in
Right.
any of the diseases stuff because it's going to be, they're tough enough. So,
Well, they shouldn't really see too
I
much their
have
first year.
I have 10 or 11 slides.
Mm-hmm. Well, why I'm asking is that we didn't, when we made our schedule, we didn't put in for mite treatments. So I have that, and it's good enough for them. And it's 42 minutes long, I think, because I took off the Q&A at the end. And so I wondered if we could do both and have.
No, not unless you're going to run over into Beach Hat.
Well, yeah, we could do that. I mean, it's mite treatments, so anybody in Beach Hat
True.
might want to do that.
Because I do have mites as my last
Okay.
enemy.
Yeah. Okay.
So or I can rearrange it to make sure the mites are at the last enemy. So we could do that and then let that be chat, and these people need to hear it again anyway.
Yeah, yeah. Well, there's a few things that I don't. It was 2023 or something, but it's still, like I said, it's from the least to favorite, and it's wrong. It's from my favorite to the least, and just simple stuff like that I caught myself when I watched it. It was like, no, that's not right. And then like AppleGuard, I don't use it at all, but so
you can state all that afterwards.
Yeah, or I can say it during it as it's rolling. So
well, yeah, I will work my PowerPoint to end with mites, and we can even make an announcement on Facebook. Class will be on pests and diseases, and B chat will be going over mites.
Yeah, well, I can send the people that are coming an email to tell them that it might be a little bit longer class. So yeah, I
can't go over mites too many times at all.
Oh no, I agree with you. And this really doesn't go over mites. It's just the treatments that you can do to kill mites. So
yeah, and because I got it leading in, mites is the cause of 90% of all these diseases. So, so it all feeds.
I heard a thing, and it was through this woman. Listened to her Propolis podcast, but she said that the researchers they infected a hive with chalk brood, a very healthy hive, and they infected it with chalk brood, and then and when the hive got chalk brood, then they rushed around there and went out and gathered propolis and brought it back. And the ones that gathered the propolis, then they